You remember waking to air so cold your breath hung like fog. It was a time when only 30% of homes offered central heating, and the milkman's dawn delivery was as certain as the frost on the glass. One room promised warmth, but only after coal sacks were hauled inside, a weight you felt in your bones. With less to go around and a chill that settled into every corner, even a simple Christmas could leave scars that never quite faded. Why did those ordinary mornings, hard as they were, forge memories that still hurt after all these years? You wake to a room so cold your nose burns. Before your eyes open, you sense the weight of blankets pressing down, 4, maybe 5 layers, each one heavier than the last. Only your face is exposed to the air, and it stings. The silence is thick, broken only by the faint creak of pipes or a distant car. You pull your arms from under the covers, and the cold bites instantly, sharp as ice water. The glass of the window is white with frost, not just outside but inside too, delicate ferns and feathers etched by the night. You trace a finger through the ice, carving a peephole, watching your breath swirl in the dim light. Sometimes you scratch your name just to prove you're there. Getting out of bed means bracing yourself. The floorboards are freezing, the lino colder still, and you hop from rug to rug, trying not to let bare feet linger. In some houses, the only way to dress is under the blankets, pajamas swapped for jumpers and thick socks while still cocooned in the heavy warmth. If you are lucky, a hot water bottle, its rubbery scent fading, has left a warm patch at your feet, but by morning it is gone tepid and limp. Bedroom windows drip with condensation, leaving tide marks on the sill and damp patches that never really dry. The air smells faintly of damp wool, sometimes a trace of coal smoke, drifting up from below. You shiver as you pull on your clothes, layering up against the chill that seeps in through every crack. There is no hum of radiators, no gentle background warmth, only the promise of heat in the room downstairs where the fire will be coaxed to life. Until then, every movement is a small act of courage, every morning a test of resolve. The cold is not just outside, it is in your bones, in the hush of the house, in the way you hurry to the one place where warmth can be found. Before the sun even thinks of rising, the first sound is the milk float whining up the street. It is a noise you know by heart, a low electric hum, sometimes rattling over potholes, sometimes muffled by fresh snow. The clink of bottles against metal crates carries through the dark, sharper on winter mornings when the air feels thin as glass. You remember the moment the milkman swings open the gate, his breath hanging. In the cold, hands bare or in fingerless gloves, skin red from the sting of frost. He lines up the bottles in neat rows on the step, foil tops glinting under the porch light, sometimes crusted with ice. Sometimes birds have pecked tiny holes in the silver, stealing the cream before you even get out of bed. Nearly every house on the street gets milk this way. 99 out of every 100, the same ritual each morning. You might leave a note tucked under an empty bottle, asking for extra cream or a carton for the trifle. At Christmas there is a little more left out, a card, a tip, a miniature bottle of whiskey. The milkman nods, sometimes with a word, sometimes just a smile, moving on before the rest of the street stirs. By the time you open the door, the bottles are cold to the touch, the foil top damp beneath your thumb. The cream rises thick at the neck, waiting to be skimmed for tea, shim, or cereal. Later, another figure appears, heavier and slower, the coalman bent beneath the weight of a 100-weight sack slung over one shoulder. You hear the thud of boots on the path, the scrape of metal as coal is tipped into the bunker or scuttle. The smell is unmistakable, oily and sharp, a black dust that clings to everything. Coal dust drifts into the kitchen, settles in the cracks of the lino, marks your hands and cuffs. There's a rhythm to it. The sack dropped, the shovel scraping, the scuttle filled and carried inside. Sometimes you are sent out to bring in a bucketful, your breath clouding in the yard, the cold biting your fingers as you fumble with the lid. These deliveries are more than just routines. They are the start of the day's economy, the promise of warmth and breakfast, the thin thread connecting your house to the world outside. Without them, the fire would not be lit, the kettle would not steam, and the day would start colder, emptier. By evening, when the family gathers in the one warm room, it is the milkman's early rounds and the coalman's heavy steps that have made it possible. You gather in the living room, drawn by the single promise of warmth and the blue glow in the corner. The rest of the house sits in darkness and cold. But here, every chair is pulled close to the fire and closer still to the one television. There is no background chatter, no other screens to distract. The set hums as it warms, a faint, high-pitched whine that has become as familiar as the ticking of the clock. Sometimes before the programs begin, the test card lingers, colour bars and that little girl with a clown, and a steady tone that fills the room with anticipation. You know the schedule by heart, marked in biro on the Radio Times, only 3 channels, and not even all of them reach every house. For many, the television is rented, paid for week by week, and it feels precious in a way that is hard to explain now. At 3 o'clock on Christmas Day, the room hushes itself. Even the youngest children sense the importance. The Queen's face appears, and for a few minutes, the whole country seems to pause together. The only sound is the fire ticking and the soft hum of the set. Grown-ups sit straighter. Children are told to be quiet, and you listen because everyone else is listening. There is a strange comfort in knowing that millions of other families are doing exactly the same thing at exactly the same time. Later, laughter ripples through the house as Morecambe's and Wise take the stage. Every chair, stool, and cushion is claimed, bodies pressed together for warmth and for the best view. The jokes land in the same instant in living rooms up and down the country, 20 million people laughing at once, the sound spilling out into the street. You remember the feeling that, for that hour, everyone was together. Not just in your house, but everywhere. The scarcity of choice makes the moment sharper, the comfort earned. The fire burns a little brighter, the cold kept at bay by shared attention and the glow of the screen. The kitchen is already warm, thick with the scent of pastry and dried fruit. You remember the way the smell of mince pies would drift through the house, mixing with coal smoke and damp wool, promising something sweet at the end of a long, cold day. Your mother's hands work quickly, rolling dough on the floured table, pressing out circles for pies and sausage rolls, every movement practiced and precise. The radio mumbles in the corner, and steam fogs the window above the sink, blurring the view of frosted gardens and grey sky. With prices climbing higher each year, 24% in 1975 alone, every ingredient is counted and stretched. The Christmas pudding was stirred weeks ago, heavy with suet and dried peel, boiled for hours in a cloth that now hangs drying by the fire. Fizzy drinks, Corona or dandelion and burdock, are saved for the day itself, bottles lined up on the sideboard, their sweetness a rare treat. On the table, the pile of Green Shield stamp booklets sits next to a battered catalogue. You remember licking each stamp into place, fingers sticky, hoping there would be enough for a single toy or a set of pans. Some years a simple doll or a board game arrives, chosen not from a shop window, but from a page paid for with months of collecting and saving. there is never a mountain of gifts. One main present, an annual or a jigsaw, may be something knitted that scratches your neck, but you know someone's hands made it, stitch by stitch. Neighbours knock at the door, plates covered in tea towels, mince pies, sausage rolls, a slice of fruitcake, exchanged with quiet pride. Sometimes carol singers appear at dusk, scarves pulled up, cheeks red, their songs drifting into the hallway as the door opens and warmth spills out. Each gesture, each shared plate, feels like its own celebration, a way of saying in hard times that nobody is forgotten. You know it was harder, colder, and simpler, and that is why these small, shared moments still linger. Today, warmth comes easy. Central heating reaches nearly every British home, but comfort can thin the ties that once pulled families close against the cold. You remember, because those shared hardships shaped you. Sometimes what's missing now isn't just the frost, it's the feeling of truly earning the thaw.